Andrea, your host of Mastering Social Media for Schools. We're nearing the end of this school year. Isn't that crazy? But we are always here to support you. Before I get into introducing today's guest, I just want to invite you into my free three-part video series. It's called Social Media Secrets for Schools. Each video is actually just 15 minutes long, and you're going to learn the simple secrets behind social media for K-12 schools. I've trained thousands of schools across the country, and now all of my very best tips are available for you in this free video series. You can sign up at socialschool4edu.com/secrets. The link is also in the show notes. I can't wait to help you through this training. Now let's get to today's interview with Brandon Lorentz. Brandon is the Assistant Director of Admissions at Summit Country Day School in Cincinnati, Ohio. You guys, their school is 130 years old, but I can tell you they are using social media to tell their story. They've really invested a lot in video to tell their story, and they are a very competitive school in the Cincinnati market. They've really reached out to alumni to feature them. And Brandon's big on, you've got to showcase who you are, not who you aren't, not who you're pretending to be on social media. And Brandon just has a lot of practical advice, like watching other schools and what are they doing and always trying to up your game. I think you're going to love this interview with Brandon Lorenz. So let's get to it. Today's K-12 PR tip is all about using Facebook Premiere for video. So you can upload videos up into Facebook to share, but you can upload them actually as a Premiere, which will give people a countdown. It'll give that feel of really watching a video live together at a specific time. I've got a very helpful blog in the show notes that will kind of explain it. But you think about right now any kind of virtual student awards or retirement recognition, staff awards. You could even do it with weekly announcements or back to school. But the basic steps, you prepare your video ahead of time, okay? And then when you upload the video into Facebook, it allows you to schedule it as a premiere, and you can schedule it out, I think about 7 days in advance. You can even use a little image that will make it look really nice to let people know that, hey, this premiere is coming up. And once it goes live, it stays on your Facebook page. And so it's really fun, and you can engage live while you're watching it. A lot of examples in this blog article, but I would just urge you, check out Facebook Premiere. Fun way to engage your audience. Now let's get to today's interview with Brandon Lorenz. Welcome to the podcast, Brandon.
Thank you for having me. It's I know we've had this in the works for a little while, and I'm glad it's finally coming to fruition.
I know, and we're on video, so you
And we're on
guys,
video, even better.
yeah, if you're listening to this, we now have a YouTube channel with this on video as well. So, however you want to watch it or listen or whatever, we got you covered. But Brandon, why don't you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, so my name is Brandon Lorenz. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission at the Summit Country Day School in Cincinnati, Ohio. And my role specifically in schools is I work with students who are applying to our upper school or high school for grades 9 to 12. I also am involved in international recruitment. For us, that is mostly out of China and all parts of China, but I know that we've had students that have come from South Korea and some other countries. I know we have flags in our hallway that represent all the countries that students have come from, but it's a very cool and rewarding position. And I actually am an alumni of the school I work at. So
That's awesome. A very special connection. So, cool. So, how big is the Summit Country Day School?
yeah, so for the entire campus, which we serve students who are ages 18 months, so a year and a half old in the Montessori, all the way up to seniors in high school. So we have four divisions really. So they're Montessori, lower school, middle school, and upper school. So they're broken down by a few different grade levels, but it's a very cool. It's very unique being an independent school and
Yeah.
having campus.
So, do you know about the number of students then altogether?
Yeah, so we're at about 1,000, and so that
Okay.
number fluctuates, but about 1,000 on the whole campus. And obviously, my specific role is with the high school, and so we're I think just under 400, but we're usually at about 400 in the high school. So typically between 90 and 105 a grade.
Okay. Perfect.
Definitely a unique size of school.
Yeah. Well, and it's still big to me. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
in the Cincinnati area, but again, I graduated with 32 kids in my class, so people are probably sick of me saying that, but it's very, very tiny.
Yeah, so I guess I don't stop to think about the schools that are outside Cincinnati because we're so entrenched in this city and our schools. I have some familiarity with other cities and their schools, but I forget that sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of small ones out there. So do the students, obviously the international students must stay on campus, but do other local students, like, do you still get them from around the country, or are they mainly like just they stay at home, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we're a day school, so we're actually not a boarding school at all. So the international students that we have typically stay with host families.
Okay.
Sometimes those host families are from our own community, and I know I love that because that they already have students in our community, and so it's just like adding another family member for 4 to 5 years. Um, but sometimes I stay with outside families. But yeah, our students all they commute and they live. I, if my numbers are correct, I think they come from over 75 different area codes.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so in Cincinnati, and so all over, and I think that's in my role. What we're looking for is to create an environment of students that are coming from all different backgrounds, really.
Yeah. And because you're drawing from all of those areas, social media, which is what we're here to talk about, comes in handy, right? Getting your story out there. So what social media channels are you a part of with your department, and then kind of how is your communications set up with for your school?
Yeah, so we're definitely. I think there's been a lot of changes lately, and I mean that in the best way possible. I'm really excited about the future of the social media summit. As a school, we're on many different platforms, and depending on what you consider social media or not, but obviously Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I know that they just created a TikTok, and I have to be honest, TikTok is not the social media platform that I've grown up with. But I know that the Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are the main three, and then they've added TikTok, and we use Vimeo for videos. And
Okay.
um, yeah, I think really we explore a lot of different ones, and I guess I could be maybe forgetting something, but
Okay.
I'm very much in the Twitter realm, and I'll get involved and you know at least suggest ideas for Facebook and Instagram. But I think we have created a team, and it's of members of faculty and staff that are across all of the divisions that I previously mentioned. And um, I think that's a really good way to attack it. That's something that's new that we added with Tammy, our new communication director, and I like that because really the best way to create content is to have eyes on it at all times. And if you don't have eyes across all four of those divisions, three whole buildings, um, there's definitely some stories, like you just said, that you're missing. So
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And I got to meet, with your leadership team probably a few months ago now,
it's
which is
probably like 2 months ago. Like that feels like it wasn't that long ago, but I think it's things have been flying by lately.
they have. It's crazy that we're getting towards the end of the school year already.
I can't believe it's been a year since we've been, kind of in this world, but it's been, you know what? I think we've all been better for it. So
Yeah, there are definitely silver linings, I think, with the way that we're doing things in education.
I agree.
Certainly has been challenging, but so you mentioned, kind of you're getting contributions from all of your four kind of campuses, or how you have them split up. Are you responsible for anything specific out of the admissions office for social media?
Yeah, so we have our colleagues in my office, and so we have admission kind of directors that work in all the divisions. And I know that as an office, we do a really good job. At least I like to think so. Of meeting and kind of keeping each other in tune, talking about what we are doing, what we need to continue to do, but also like what do we need to be doing differently. And sometimes for us, especially in Cincinnati, with as much competition as we have with parochial, and by parochial I mean like the Catholic grade schools with the parishes. and all the other, independent schools and private schools that we have around us. We definitely have to be creative, but we also have to look at what they're doing and see what's working for everybody else. So I see things every day that kind of inspire me, and I hope that somebody out there from other schools are looking at ours and are thinking the same thing. But I think it's really just collaboration and kind of talking. But I will say it has been, I think, over the last, I would say maybe year and a half, has progressed a lot compared to what, and I was in high school 8 years ago, so it's progressed a lot from when I started high school to now, and it's kind of grown with social media growing and
Sure.
taking over.
Yeah. And for you, you're very young and to not be on TikTok, I can
My
consume.
sisters are, and I think I downloaded it. I'll be honest, I
Right.
downloaded it and I created an account,
Yes.
but I get it. I have to learn how to use it. So I guess I will never say that I won't try a platform.
Right.
I just have to figure it out and kind of get an idea of how to use it.
Yeah, well, it can be a time suck because you can get wrapped up in, video after video. But
Oh yeah,
we do have a few resources on my website, and I'll just refer to them because
yeah,
there are some unique ways to tell stories and to reach these students on TikTok. And there's actually what I've seen as like educators or like a principal using TikTok to be able to either, have fun relating to students and still tell stories. And, it's not just all about dances, but it's actually can inform and they're like pointing to, different words and whatever. So you think about, information about graduation or just different programs that you have available there at the
yeah.
Summit Country Day School, that could get out there. And, I don't know if you need to go viral necessarily, but if you can get eyeballs on your stuff. But I definitely think anybody thinking about TikTok, get students involved.
I think I was going to say that that is probably where I would be at too. And so I will give a shout out to my before, we went to high school at the same time, and he actually works here as well. Ryan Glass, he was the one who told me we got into TikTok, and he does digital media in general, but videography, and so it's kind of really up his alley. So I guess when you talk about roles and what people are doing on our team of this people that you met with, and I think we've added one or two since we had that initial meeting. It's great because I think the people who are contributing feel comfortable with the platforms they're contributing to.
Yeah,
Because I think for myself, I could do all different platforms, but I really feel the most comfortable with like Twitter and Instagram and kind of because people my age and younger really I think are drawn more to Instagram, but
right.
I'm seeing an influx of people kind of getting into the Twitter. And I know in our initial conversation on that one call that we had, we talked about you're not quite as familiar with Twitter because it's not as popular, I think, around your area.
Right.
But in Cincinnati, it's used for everything for high schools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love Twitter for me for PD, like,
yeah,
connecting, and I think educators, but for schools specifically, it hasn't been as big. So video is big, and I think you guys are using video. Actually, Ryan Glass, that you just mentioned, he's in our membership program, along with Tammy, your communications director, and he just shared the coolest video of a teacher kind of why they teach, and it's a really neat video. I'll make sure to link that. But you've kind of started to use video to connect family, alumni, and things. Can you just tell me about that initiative?
yeah, and it's funny because I don't know where it came from, but I think they were already doing video prior to when I started working at Summit. They had started to get into it, and we had a great intern named Hannah who we might have had somebody before her. I'm not quite sure, but when I came in, we had Hannah who I believe is working professionally in video now. But did a great job on so many videos, and then she graduated college and went out to get a full-time job rather than being an intern. So provided an opportunity to hire a new intern that ultimately ended up turning into a part-time position that is now a full-time position which Ryan is that is his role. So
Okay.
I think with that it has grown for us. And if you go onto our social media right now, you're going to see video all over the place, especially on Instagram stories. Part of that is Ryan being an alum, just like me, loving this place and wanting to go out to the turf at recess or wanting to go out to the gym class or sit in that English class and just have his camera there and just, take clips and splice them together. But telling a story, I think, is something that we've really kind of been passionate about. And I think as somebody gets to know Summit and being someone who knows it personally, I think we're very passionate about telling our story. If you can't tell by how I speak about it,
Right.
we want people to know about Summit, and we want people to know all those great stories. And then the school just turned 130 years old this year, so there's so much history. It was founded by the Sisters of Notre Dame, so there's so much history that we cling on tight to and that we love. And a lot of that is just about creating emotion in those videos, and wanting somebody to see that video on Facebook and be like, oh wow, like that made an impact. So especially for me, as I'm recruiting students to come to Summit for 9th through 12th grade, when you're in 8th grade, we have the number one most competitive high school market in the entire country for private schools, and you can look it up. And so you really have to be competitive. And a lot of the times these kids are considering 3, 4, I hope not 5, but 3 or 4, maybe 5 schools. And it's about where they connect with. And I don't know that you can connect without feeling like that could be me someday. So that's what we're trying to convey in those videos.
Yeah. Well, and you're doing a series now, and I just started watching episode 7 on the pavilion. So it showcases like an old time outdoor gym that was
Yeah.
there and what's there now. And the video is only about 2 minutes long.
Mhm.
And I just think it's awesome. Like it must be maybe part of that heritage and celebrating your 130 years. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, so and I don't it kind of I don't know that it was necessarily because we turned 130 years old. I think it just kind of came up as a hey, we have an opportunity to do some videos, and we have Ryan, and we have Dr. Law, who's a former teacher of mine and is also the campus historian, and they wanted to document this because if I'm being honest with you, that pavilion story I didn't know
Right.
really. Like there's so much that's there that I have no clue about. So I tune in, I get the notifications on my phone when it pops up, and I watch it. So some of them are like 2.5 minutes, some of them are 4. But I think, keeping those videos, and I know they pop up weekly, so it's something to do. So
Yeah, and they're sharing them as a Facebook premiere, which kind of gives you, hey, there's a countdown, and
yeah.
it's just a little bit more of a live feel, like a Facebook Watch kind of thing, where people can't fast forward. But then they also live then on your page after they publish, and so I've got another resource just on how to do a Facebook premiere. Again, we're coming up on this time of year where you might be having award ceremonies or some things that are still happening virtually that you
Mhm.
can do. But I'm going to make sure to link to all your social media profiles so that people can kind of take a look at these different video options, because I think they can really inspire, schools to share their story in those ways.
Yeah, and I think like really for us, I think a lot of these things have just come up as just kind of out there ideas, but I think really it took the people within our building saying, "Hey, like let's make this a priority," and say, "Hey, let's do these." And I don't know how to judge engagement on Facebook quite as well as I know how to judge engagement on Instagram or Twitter, but I know that those videos all get a ton of views. Like people are tuning in, and I see people sharing them, especially alumni that maybe have a connection to those sites and spots. But yeah, I see that the views are there. As I'm always interested with how people interact with those types of.
Yeah. Well, and then they live forever. So I'm sure those are getting put on your Vimeo channel.
Yeah.
You can end up repurposing them in a lot of different ways. So we love video. So you personally love Twitter, and you've used that a lot on a personal basis, and you've even gone viral a couple times. So tell me about that.
I have, yeah. So what's funny is I've actually deleted the viral tweets that I've had since because like they got enough interaction. Like my phone was buzzing off the hook, and like now you can turn off. I think at a certain point you weren't able to turn off that
Sure.
notification. But they went viral. But I think really if I remember correctly, I know one was about Skyline Chili, which Cincinnati, Ohio, the whole rest of the country thinks we're crazy, but Skyline Chili just had it yesterday. It's fantastic.
Is that like a
Um,
chain then, or what is that?
yeah, so it's a Cincinnati chain. It might stretch up to about Columbus, Ohio. It might go down to about Lexington or so in Kentucky. I know Indiana has some locations, but really it's just around this tri-state area.
Ooh. Well,
Cincinnati
we'll
style
have to have
chili.
that.
Oh yeah. Well, so like we put noodles and then chili on noodles and then cheese on top of it. To me, that's what I grew up as a child eating. So I love it. But the whole rest of the the world. When Cincinnati does something, they want to, kind of rag on their chili.
I just
Well,
got,
not until you
I
try
got,
it.
yeah, I got to tell you something. So one of the big posts, and asking simple ones, because we're gonna talk about this, like what can schools learn from some of your viral posts, but posting something, especially even back in Wisconsin, it's like chili. Noodles or no noodles. And oh my gosh, you want comments and people that are like, oh my God, it's not chili if you don't have noodles, or vice versa. It can be funny to watch some of those. So
Oh, I think really when like, and I've never woken up and been like, I want to get viral. I think at this point, I want to stay away from going viral, actually. Because this world's crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's always been like, and there was another one. It was something about Cincinnati related, but especially if you hit, especially nowadays when you see those trends pop up and it says follow this topic on Twitter. I don't even like that topic or I don't like that account, but they're suggesting things all the time. So I'm seeing people as I tweet things that they don't follow me. They have no mutual connection of follow or following on Twitter, and they're liking my tweets because they're popping up because they're trending in that topic. So
sure.
nowadays it's actually easier to get those engagements, but you just have to be making sure that you're tweeting something relatable or that other people can identify with. And I think the more obscure on Twitter, the less interaction you're going to get. I use my personal Twitter really for me because I think I'm hilarious and I just tweet my thoughts all
And we'll
the
put
time.
what's your handle on Twitter, Brandon?
My handle is Brandlor17,
Okay.
BRANLOR17.
Okay. Awesome.
But I actually also kind of use it as like a Summit #1 fan account. Like I really am a big fan of this place, and obviously I willingly returned to my high school. So I've obviously felt strongly enough about it to return here, um, and I have tons of people on my Twitter account from grade school, from high school, from college, from professional connections to people I volunteer with, to all of those sorts of things. And I want them to know what's going on at Summit because if they know somebody that is in 5th grade, 8th grade, somebody who wants to transfer in high school, I want them to think of Summit. And I want them to say, oh, Brandon just shared something that was so cool. I can't believe Summit has that. So that's how I want to use it. And I know that some of our students at Summit follow me and they're sharing my stuff. And so I come at it from a different angle than maybe the more focused Summit CDS account that we have. Whereas, we're putting out information. I'm here, saying like, hey, like, I'm trying to think of it. Like, go Michael, like when they had some. But I'm really big also, and I follow, and this is something I would suggest to anybody. I think following your alumni is so important too. So I'm following their college athletic accounts. I'm following accounts that that are involved in things that our students are in, especially if they're playing a big role in whatever it is. Even if whether it's athletics or it's in the arts, you know I want to give them shout outs because first of all, it makes them feel good that their high school still remembers them. Many people here, that follow those accounts still want to know what's going on with them. And it's so easy to lose track of somebody after they graduate. And especially at Summit, and I love this, I love it for this, is that we all end up across the country, even across the world after we graduate high school. Like I think our senior class last year was 101 seniors, went to 52 colleges and universities, 100% college acceptance and placement, and then across 25 different states from coast to coast. So,
Wow.
and actually, I think Imperial College of London as well. So somebody did go international. So, that's my mindset on all of that. So that was a long-winded answer, but hopefully give you some insight into how my brain works.
Yeah, well, it's great because you're using social media to stay connected. And all at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, right?
Yeah,
So it's building relationships with current students, with prospective students, with just connections out there in the world that might end up coming back. So I think you said a few key things is one, be a promoter of your school.
yeah,
However else you want to use it too for professional development or just, hey, loving on a sports team or, whatever you want to do, that it can be your account, but that you're that cheerleader. Um, uh, and I was a natural born cheerleader. Like, I was a
yeah,
cheerleader in high school too, but I did get to play sports too because we were such a small school. But so doing that, but then also, like you said, staying connected
yeah.
because you want that alumni support. You want them to stay connected, and they're doing amazing things, and those make amazing stories as well. Do you do some efforts on sharing alumni stories with your on your social media pages and things?
Yeah, definitely. So, and actually, we do a couple other things. I'm reminded of. I got an email from our alumni engagement director, Mark Osborne, asking me to do kind of an alumni faculty profile. So right now, I've seen them coming out. I was wondering if I would be cool enough to get asked. I guess I was. But
It's gonna
kind
be
of a
me.
pro. I know. So I saw, the profile of kind of like, what made you want to come back to Summit to work and those sorts of things. But also they've done alumni spotlights. They do those things, and different platforms are used for different things, but a lot of them are very similar, especially Facebook and Instagram. I think a lot of the same exact things go on those too. I mean, they're owned by the same company,
Right.
so makes
Yeah.
sense. But yeah, so and just staying connected. And I even got an email from we had one girl alum and one boy alum who play basketball that were in the NAIA and then also the D2 Final Four.
Oh,
So I got an email like as Alex Dalling, one of our alums, was I think in the Elite Eight. His mom had asked like, "Oh, who runs this Twitter account?" Like, I think people would be interested in knowing. And I was like, absolutely. And anytime somebody has something like that, tell them to email me. I don't care how big or little it seems. Like if they're doing something, I think people they care. So
yeah.
we're not big enough at our school, and this is the blessing of our school, though, is that we don't have 500 kids a grade. You are remembered. You walk out of those doors, and the teachers, the parents, the board members, they remember. They remember those students.
Right.
So they like to get those updates. I think, at least I hope.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's great, and it shows what you can become when you go to your school, you know?
Definitely.
That's great. So, this time has gone fast, Brandon. Just
Hey, I'm here as long as you want me here.
we've been just
So
chatting away, but, kinda as we wrap up, what would you say is your best social media tip? Or maybe you have several tips.
yeah, so I think when it comes to social media, I think being real and being authentic are obviously at the forefront. Being who you are. I don't like, I think if I had to have one knock on social media as a whole, not a specific platform, is that people are always trying to be something that they might not be.
Mhm.
And my job is to sell what we are. It's not to sell what we aren't. And likewise, as people are trying to figure out if Summit as a school and a community is a fit for them and their family, we're trying to figure out if they're a fit for us because there's an application process and all of that. So I'm hoping that our social media, as people are looking at our school as a prospective family, that they're saying, "Oh, like I could, you know, that looks like something that I'm interested in, or that we as a family value." So then it comes back to the value of a Summit education and what we're promoting, and we always want it to come back to that value proposition because you are paying tuition to go to school, and you want to feel like you're getting your value out of that. So
Yeah.
but I also think I mentioned that being relatable and people being able to look at that and be like, oh, oh, okay, and or being fun, being engaging. I think Tammy, our communication director, I've kind of harped on one thing that we didn't do in the past is engaging with people as they comment on our Facebook posts and that sort of thing. Like, oh yeah, your comment was seen and acknowledged, and we do value your congratulations or whatever you're commenting there. Um, but the most important thing though is like being informed. Like it is so easy to be informed. And like that would just come back to, hey, follow accounts that might have information that's pertinent to you. Like I follow accounts that might have our alumni or might have our current students. Like Grant Us Hope is an organization that we are partnered with students here. That's actually out in, I believe it's located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Um, and so they're doing things, and our program is doing that here. So following those sorts of things, it's just being informed, and then also depending on the platform, but also relevancy and like in urgency too. Like if you wait a week to post something on Twitter, it's gone. Actually, if you wait a day, that is no longer up to date information. So knowing your platform and knowing um, how to relate. So, but yeah, so those are my best tips. I love social media. I think I told you, Andrea, when we first talked the first time that I had MySpace. That's defunct now, basically. It's a music site, I think. I had MySpace in like seventh grade, and then Facebook had become popular. So I got Facebook in eighth grade. Twitter and Instagram blew up as I was a freshman in high school. Snapchat came out. I think my sophomore year of high school. I've been on basically all of those since those days. Um, and so it's been interesting to see how they all have formed and shifted and all of that. And I think there are some aspects of this the original site that I fell in love with that I would like back. But I also do love the interconnectedness that it's provided to so many different avenues. And I mean, some people have gotten jobs and changed their lives off of social media. So it can be a beautiful thing if you use it right.
I'm one of them, right? Like, who would have thought? I didn't have
Heck
faith.
yeah.
We were just getting like email and stuff when I just was getting out of high school back in 96. So it's just amazing. But now, like, I have this whole business around social media in school. So I totally believe that. Yeah, and you're really you grew up with it, so it's very intuitive to you.
It's
That
almost second nature. That's the crazy part.
right,
Is like when people don't quite get it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess you didn't grow up with it like your entire life. So
right.
I'll be interested to see the direction it goes. But it's a
Well,
great tool.
yeah, and it's not going away, for
No
those people
chance.
that thought, this thing, and certainly has had some reiterations. And when it ends up in court and things, there's things that are scary and things are always changing, but definitely has, I think, really truly brought us closer together.
Definitely.
So as we wrap up, we're going to be done talking, but people can still stay connected to you. So what's the best way to stay connected to Brandon Lorenz?
I would definitely say Twitter. So
Okay.
you got that handle, but it's at Brandlore17. And it's my personal account, but I'm obviously I use it as a way for my job as well. But so I mean, if feel free to check it out. But I mean, I try to be funny on there and just in my daily life, like I think every bird pooped on my car in the city this past weekend, and so I tweeted it out, and somebody started like came down to my office and was like, "Oh my god, it was so funny." I was like, "Okay, I didn't think
Oh, that's hilarious. And then
but like,
we'll have all of your social connections for the school as well. Like on Twitter, you're at Summit CDS, and we'll get your Facebook,
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
I'm not sure if we got your TikTok channel. Have they started putting content on there yet or no?
That's a really good question. I'm gonna have to look at that today,
Okay.
but I'm pretty sure like Twitter, Instagram, and I'm willing to bet that Instagram is also at Summit CDS.
Okay.
The Facebook itself would be the Summit Country Day School, but yeah, I mean, I encourage people to check it out. I mean, I hope that they think that we're doing a good job. But what I'd like to I think for everybody though is that I don't think we ever need to stop evolving
Okay.
because the second you stop trying to go above and beyond, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I hope around even in Cincinnati, I look at other schools and get inspired. And I think there are schools out there that are doing even better than we are
Right.
and are doing a fantastic job. And that I even have something to strive for within my own city. So I guess where I got my Twitter account and I was like, this is what I want this account to be. It really came from seeing other administrators, other faculty members, coaches on their Twitter accounts and just being really big cheerleaders for their schools.
Yeah.
And we have some of those here as well. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So
That's great, great advice. Because there's always something that you're like, oh my gosh, we have something like that awesome at our school. We should do that. I see a video idea. Well, we could do that here. You're not really stealing. We call
yeah,
it admire and acquire. And you're in a different
I like that.
area and whatever. So Barbara Hunter, APR, that she's the NSPRA director. She shared that term with me, so I really like
I
that
like
one.
that.
It's a nice way to put it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Brandon. And thanks everybody for tuning into this episode of Mastering Social Media for Schools. We will see you next time. Bye bye.